Weigh-In is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Weigh-In. Great to have your company with us on this Monday morning. And as always, we've got plenty to review on the show today. Of course, Group 1 success across the ditch for our favourite mare in Imperatrice, and some New Zealand domestic racing to review as well. We've also got some treats from international races, including that Hong Kong Derby, Michael.
Good morning to you, Ian. Big hi to everybody watching around either New Zealand or Australia, which is very much the focus of this morning, not just Imperatrice, of course, Antrim Coast for Stephen Marsh. We're going to talk to Ben Gleeson, the Cranbourne trainer for Imperatrice. Also Stephen Marsh about Antrim Coast, where he's heading. Emily and I had a little game yesterday, trying to figure out, wasn't easy, you can play along at home, the top 5 performed New Zealand trained horses overseas since 1980. We didn't go too far back because Em's a bit younger than me, but I thought it was fascinating and really open to debate. Then the New Zealand racing, and we're going to catch up with that really important information last week from Windsor Park. They have a new horse arriving in the country, Em, very shortly. He's a very good horse. I've seen him before. And a record-breaking Hong Kong Derby last night out of Sha Tin. It feels like at the moment, Emily, it just never stops.
No, exactly right. The show rolls on, and we'll start with that Group 1 win of Imperatrice's in the William Reid.
From Miami, and Imperatrice, the outside, moves up swiftly. Imperatrice goes to the front from Johnny Rocker, Ryan Me, hypothetical. Imperatrice, 100 to go. Johnny Rocker bravely giving her a race, but it's the Kiwi wonder. 10 Group 1s. Imperatrice from Johnny Rocker, Ryan Me, Bella Nipotina. The Inferno Q-Man, hypothetical cylinder, the astrologist.
Well, another Group 1 for Imperatrice, win number 10. Group 1 win number 10. What an incredible mare she's been. Ben Gleeson joins us on the phone from Australia. And Ben, a very good morning to you. It must be a pinch yourself moment to have won another Group 1 with Imperatrice.
Yeah, morning Emily, morning Michael. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been an incredible journey with her. She's a horse that's once in a lifetime, hopefully not, but I think we can all see that, and yeah, what she continues to achieve just blows us away, doesn't it?
Ben, I've looked after horses in Australia who've been winning a lot of races, and I know the pressure that you can be under with a Group 1 horse like Imperatrice. How has it been for you? Because it's been an incredible whirlwind, hasn't it, from when you took over to what Imperatrice has done since then?
It has, yeah. It's probably the best way to describe it, Emily. It's been all you could dream of, really. Yeah, not just with Imperatrice, with all the horses that have come across and what they're achieving. But yeah, to have her as a flag bearer, she's basically built the entire stable over here and helped us set everything up from scratch. And you know, she's just continued to put us on the map week in, week out. So yeah, it's just honestly pinch yourself and leaves you lost for words after most of her wins, the way she does it, and she just continues to provide incredible results.
Ben, I came down to the stabling area on Saturday to see her, and I couldn't believe how lovely she was. She's not a sort of a typical aggressive mare, is she? She's so sweet, and her ears were forward, and she loves a pat. And her and Jason, the strapper there, as we can see on screen, just have such an incredible relationship, don't they?
Yeah, Jason's an incredible horseman. That was the reason why I got him here is to have someone so trustworthy and such a good horseman. It's, I think, paramount to any top stable, but especially us setting up. He's my eyes and ears every day. So for him to grow this affiliation, he's been working the game for 40 plus years and waited his entire life for a horse like her. So he's incredibly deserving of the opportunity to look after her. But yeah, at the same time, she's a sweetheart. She's the kindest and most intelligent horse I've ever worked with. She lets you know when she's not happy, but thankfully that's not much. And usually that's just around feed time because we're making her wait. So yeah, as you said, race day, she just takes it all in. She's just cool, calm, and collected until she goes out on track, which I hope you know she can suck in a bit of a buck and show she's feeling well. But yeah, he rides her well and knows her so well, but yeah, she's just a pleasure to work with.
Ben, congratulations on all the success you guys are having. We hear all the time about how hard and rigorous Group 1 racing is, but it doesn't seem to bother her. She seems very race and repeat. For example, yesterday morning, on a Sunday after a performance like that on a very firm track, does she always trot out sound? Is she a very happy horse post-race and eats up and gets on with her life? Because the turnarounds are quite quick, but they don't really seem to bother her.
No, they don't. And I was actually just talking to Laura about her. You know, she had a big spring. It was long. It was, you know, some tough races, and she only ended up getting sort of a 2 to 3 week break, which isn't very long for any horse. And then we had her ready to fire first up in the Lightning. So she's had a lot of training and a lot of tough races, but you can only compare her to an elite athlete. Like, the harder she works and the harder that gets served up to her, the more she just bounces out of it and feels better in herself. And she's just an elite athlete that, you know, very rarely come along. And at the same time, you know, she puts so much into her racing. Yes, she feels the pinch a little bit, you know, a little bit of muscle soreness, similar to what any athlete would feel. But she lifts the bowl clean every single day, no matter what. She's just got a huge appetite, and that transpires to how her body handles everything, I think.
Ben, the next grand final is the TJ Smith in Sydney, which is 12 days away. I presume she doesn't do too much, maybe a bit of 3/4 Saturday morning, gallop next Tuesday, and Mark Walker was suggesting travel overnight Thursday when it's a bit cooler. So is that pretty much the program for Imperatriz between now and April the 6th?
Yep, that's pretty much spot on, Michael. Must have a good training that yourself, but she'll do exactly that. Quite a week ahead. You know, we might take her down the beach one day this week if the weather's good. And yeah, just tick over on Saturday morning, and yeah, her final piece of work either Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll just weigh up what track we can get her on here. Typically, we take her across to the course properly just for the morning away. The club here have been incredible to us to allow her to do that basically every gallop into her final run, and it just stimulates her the right way compared to how relaxed she can be at home. So then probably another trip to the beach later next week, and yeah, she'll be on a track Thursday night. It's typical here. Horses sort of travel up to Sydney on a Thursday night, get there the day before they race, and it's pretty easy for them to settle in and just have a swim and pick a grass and race on the Saturday. It's all pretty smooth usually.
Away from the Group 1, Ben, there was a couple of little niggly races for Opie to negotiate on Saturday. One of those, the Alistair Clark, where Quintessa looked the winner at the 100-metre mark, and she just had to swerve around a horse about 300 from home just before we picked up on this bit here. So she was very good. How did she come through this? Because it was quite a ruggedly run race. And I believe she's also heading to Sydney for the Oaks a week after the TJ.
Correct, yeah. She was a bit stiff. You know, I know some races probably don't suggest that, but I don't think the rail was exactly the place to be. She did have a smooth run, but it did just look a little bit more testing than where those horses came down the outside. She also lost a front shoe in the run, and she got galloped on. So she's been through the wars throughout the race. We don't really know where it happened. We watched the replay. We can't see where she lost the shoe, but losing a front shoe and losing a race by a short head is certainly reason to say that there's a difference in that. And she got galloped on behind a decent chunk or cut in her leg, but that'll fix up easily. But two things that you never really want to see happening to your horse. So she was incredibly tough. She was in front everywhere but the post. Her form on Saturday was certainly stamped by Riff Rocket and V8 coming out and both winning Group 1. So she's certainly, you know, well in heading up to the Oaks and taking on Zardozi.
Campionessa was another runner on the day who was pretty unlucky. Opie said to me afterwards, I really should have won that, but things just didn't work out for her, did it? But she ran another gallant race.
Yeah, she's absolutely flying. We've had her here for a month, so obviously just getting to know her, but she's settled in really well. She had a week out in the paddock and on the water walker, which that freshen up just did her the world of good. She already looked incredible and dappled up, but I think once she came back from that little break, she dappled up even more. And she came in from a gallop on Tuesday morning, bucking and squealing, and Mark said that's exactly how you want her. So it was unfortunate to see her caught in that position. She's probably not a horse that's renowned for a turn of foot, but I think that just shows how much she's flying when she's held up the whole time and let rip down the outside. There's every reason to believe she would have won that, I think, with ease. But it shows us she's on track for Sydney and she deserves a crack at a Group 1 up there. So hopefully we get the right conditions to suit.
And that's the Queen of the Turf, isn't it? The Group 1 that she's heading towards. Let's talk about Certainly as well. A little bit disappointing, certainly. What was the wash-up from her?
Yeah, she was a bit. She's a 3-year-old filly. We've travelled a few horses over in the week and they've handled the travel and then raced well, like Kempinessa, but we can speculate whether it was just a bit much for her. We're going to actually just do a little check with her this morning. We've taken some bloods and we'll take a scope. We'll get over to scope her this morning. Nothing is showing us that there's any issue. She's eaten up and bright and under saddle this morning. So hopefully it was just a case of settling in and it just came a bit quick for her. So at least we've got sort of another 3 weeks before we think about running her again. But we'll do all the checks over and it was probably quite below par to what we expected. But we'll try and get her to bounce back and get her on target for a race, whether it's in Sydney or in Adelaide. There's still plenty of options for her.
Ben, thanks so much for your time this morning and a huge congratulations to you and the team across the ditch. I know you're Australians, but the Kiwis are most definitely behind you and we can't wait to see Imperatrice out and about again.
Thank you. No, we consider ourselves somewhat Kiwi now, so we're all part of one team.
Oh, great stuff and good to chat to Ben, and he's such a great addition to the Te Akau team.
Doing a great job, and it's Te Akau is such a big business, and it's really hard to find. Look, as racing editor for the Herald, you need to find different people to talk to. You can't just quote Mark Walker all the time because readers get bored of hearing it. So sometimes you talk to David, and sometimes you talk to Opie or Sam, and Ben's another addition to that because over the course of a year, you might write 50 stories on Te Akau. And it doesn't matter what you're covering, you can't quote the same person 50 times in a row. And he's very good at talking on air, and he obviously loves his horses. So great addition when you consider what Cranbourne's going to become, which is going to become a 70-horse barn for them. On Imperatrice, obviously she heads to the TJ. Now, it does sound a big challenge because it's such a big race and it's $3 million and it's in Sydney. Mark Walker suggested to me yesterday, well, not too concerned about Sydney. I'm not concerned about right-handed. She's had 5 starts right-handed for 3 wins and 2 placings.
Pretty good placings as well.
Pretty good placings. One to second to Sort of State at Ellerslie and one to Artorius in the Canterbury Stakes. It's not as good a TJ as it has been in the last couple of years. When you think of the TJ, you think of Chautauqua and last year, I Wish I Win versus Giga Kick. It's just not that deep. So I spoke to Peter Moody yesterday. I Wish I Win will go to the race fresh. He's had 2 trials. He said it's not ideal. We understand it's not ideal. We don't have anything else we can do with him. We're going. Private Eye's been good, but not scary, this campaign, and Imperatrice wouldn't be scared of him. Then you go through the other horses. Cylinder finished last in that race the other day, so the weight for age doesn't suit him as much as the Newmarket, which was a handicap. And then that other group, Sunshine in Paris, who was good the other day, Osmosis, who missed the kick and was all over the place. Bella Nipotina, clearly Imperatrice has the measure of her. This is not a scary TJ, and that's the question mark over Imperatrice. Is she's so good, but you sort of wonder in your mind what she's racing, and she's racing the best of what there is. But I think at the moment she's turned up in a great year because it would have been a lot harder to do what she's doing now 2 years ago, and that's by no means a pot on her because it's not her fault.
Well, we don't know, do we? I mean, she might have she's only beating what's in front of her, isn't it? So it is a difficult argument. Well,
she's only met Giga Kick, who won at Everest once, and she's beaten him.
Yeah.
So there's no pot on her form. It's just there's almost no villain in the story. There's almost no big bad Australian sprinter for her to beat, and that's great because she's now going to go in as favourite, and no reason she shouldn't win the TJ. Which, if she does, I believe puts her in the box seat to an Australian Horse of the Year. Now, no New Zealand horse has won Australian Horse of the Year since Sunline won it for the 3rd time in 2002. So it's a bloody hard thing to do and a tremendous honour.
Her main competition would be Mr. Brightside, you'd imagine?
No, I worked it out last night. I don't think he's won enough races. I think her main competition would be Pride of Jenny if she wins the Australian Cup, That'll give her 4 Group 1s, and there's a lot of emotion around Pride of Jenny. If Think About It happened to win the Doncaster, then...
Oh, you reckon?
If he happened to win a Doncaster... Well,
And what else has he won outside of the Everest?
Well, you know what doesn't matter? Because people in Sydney vote, and people in Sydney want to vote for him if she doesn't win the TJ. Sydney and Melbourne, very, very parochial places. If you're in Sydney and a horse wins the Doncaster and the Everest, and without a fight. Without a Fight's won the Caulfield and the Melbourne Cups.
Without a fight, yeah.
So
Cup double, yeah.
if she wins the TJ, I think she wins Australian Horse of the Year. But there's a few little... When you vote for Horse of the Year, you have voted the last couple of years, it's really interesting how some people pick their own
Go with the heart
state.
and other people go with
Some
the
people don't want to
facts
vote for
on
a
the
New Zealander.
page. Yeah.
Some people don't want to vote for a New Zealander. So it's a
I don't
tremendous
know,
honour.
do they class her as that, seeing as she is based there,
Well,
Australian
a lot
bred?
of the New South Wales media are going to class her as a Victorian.
Yeah.
So really interesting move for her. I think she'll win the TJ because it's not that strong, and I think that gets her over the line for Horse of the Year.
Talking like that.
Well, and that would be, by the way, that was Opie's 98th Group 1. That would bring Opie up to 99. I can't see him riding a Group 1 in the next 2 weeks, so that would get him to 99.
Yeah.
Be a hell of a way to
big
get to
deal.
99.
Hell of a way to get to 99. I'm sure he'd love to do the 100 on Imperatrice. She's been such an important part of what we've been doing over the past season.
Just on the other two, Quintessa, by the way, Oaks, obviously, which would be really tough, and Campionessa, as you said, Queen of the Turf on the 13th. So both those two will be on the 13th. That's a week later. So we're going to have a really big back end to that carnival for New Zealand because, of course, we're hoping Orchestra will be in that Oaks as well.
And potentially our Oaks winner, Pulchritudinous, potentially?
Yes, spoke to Chad Ormsby this morning. She is under offer still. If she is not sold, she too will head to the Oaks. So probably 3 of the 5 favourites for the Oaks would be New Zealand trained.
Great stuff. Let's continue the debate because we move along to our top Kiwi expats. That's where we get to next. And if you're online, you might have seen this debate on Twitter. It caused a great deal of discussion. But here's the criteria first, I guess, is what we want to highlight.
Okay, so New Zealand trained horse. So it has to be trained in New Zealand. So very elegant's not eligible.
Unfortunately.
And post 1980, because otherwise you could go back in time to horses we don't know enough about, like Gloaming and some of the greats, and you could go back to Far Lap, you know, as a Kiwi bred horse. So New Zealand trained on overseas performances only overseas performances, and of course post 1980. So you've got your old boyfriend Chappie on top.
Well, you can imagine. I had to. I couldn't not do that. But we're pretty similar, except you don't have Dundeel or Imperatrice. What does she have to do to get into your top 5, Michael? What is it? 10-time Group 1 winner. She's won Group 1s from 1,000 to a
4
mile.
of those don't count because they're in New Zealand.
I know, but it adds to the picture. How many New Zealanders have won a Lightning?
No, I agree.
Or have remained unbeaten at the Valley in Group 1?
She absolutely could have been in it. So there's her Group 1 list. The New Zealand ones don't count for this. We're talking Australian performances only. I think she gets closer, but go back to the list we were showing you before. So Sunline has to be on it.
Yeah,
everybody who's ever played this game, and you can play at home.
I think they're the Sunline,
And Bone Crusher, yeah.
Rough Habit was sort of the 3 everybody.
Well, Rough Habit was an iconic horse who won in 3 states, but what he did in Queensland was just iconic, his win in the Stradbroke. Here's some other thoughts.
Opinions, yeah.
This is Daddy Power.
I very much agree with this because that 5th spot, the top 4 seem obvious, and that's what we found through that Twitter conversation, wasn't it? That the top 4 were generally people went with those, and then that 5th spot was sort of could go anyway depending on, it was your heart really, wasn't it? Who was a horse that spoke to you?
Well, also horses you've seen in the flesh. Horses you've seen in the flesh obviously mean a lot more to you than horses you haven't. Here's Aidan Rodley getting involved, and Aidan very similar to us as well. So he's put Imperatrice in, same 4 as me, but Imperatrice instead of Ethereal. I'll get to that in a second. He's added Ethereal in his list of next ups, and the list of next ups is huge. Horses. So here's Michael Felgate, really well respected broadcaster in Australia.
He says the same, top 4 solid, number 5 floater.
Well, he's ended up with exactly the same 5 as me. So we'll go back to our list. So Sunline and Bone Crusher, I think, for everybody.
Yeah.
Horlicks went in for me personally because Horlicks won a McKinnon. She ran second in a Cox Plate, won a McKinnon, but then went to Japan and won the Japan Cup. Back when the Japan Cup sat alongside-ish, not close, but close enough, to the Arc as the greatest race in the world. And she won a world record winning the Japan Cup. So Horlicks had to be in for me because that's something which no other horse has ever done yet.
Yeah.
So no horse has done it. She only had a very small body of work overseas, but a massive body of work. And I went with Ethereal, and it could have been Imperatrice or Ethereal.
Okay.
I went with Ethereal because she won the Caulfield Cup and the Melbourne Cup. She raced, in her lead-up races, she raced Northerly and Sunline. Then she went on and won the BMW in autumn, which is obviously an incredibly hard race to win. So she started in the spring, she started in autumn, she won their 3 biggest staying races, and she was rated the world's best stayer that year. So I'm not saying Imperatrice hasn't done enough to be on the list. It's just a bloody tough list to get on.
She's in the world's best sprinter conversation, isn't she?
She is. And look, the other thing too is all those horses have finished their careers. So their body of work is done.
Yeah.
Whereas Imperatrice has the option via a TJ, via an Everest, via potentially 6, 8,
An Ascot trip.
10 more wins exactly to get on the list. So if you're playing along at home, I thought it was a fascinating conversation. Done deal for you, the top pick maybe from the heart.
From the heart, but he deserved it. You know, he was an incredible 3-year-old, and he beat some incredible horses at weight for age as well.
And he won the Queen Elizabeth, and he beat Atlantic Jewel. By the way, you saw Dundee on Friday, I believe. You went back and saw your old boyfriend.
Very emotional little Friday
crying,
morning for me. Yes,
Don't
I
cry
did.
now.
I won't. Yeah, that story's to come. Yeah,
Great.
I'm very grateful for being able to get over there and see him. 10-year reunion. It's 10 years since he won the Queen Elizabeth, so keep an eye out for that.
Okay, that's great conversation. You can get involved.
Yeah, and there's so many levels to it because, as we said, horses like So You Think, Very Elegant don't qualify, but are just incredible New Zealanders.
Well, what we're going to do in a couple of weeks, we've got about 6 weeks of weigh-in to go, is the other list, New Zealand bred horses since 1980, which will include Very
start
Elegant.
research
so
now.
You think, so play along with us on weigh-in. We're on Twitter, that sort of stuff. Get involved if you want to as well. But we better move on because there was a lot of other things going on the weekend. Yeah,
talking about Kiwi wins across the ditch, and we get to Antrim Coast, who of course took out the Alistair Clark at long odds for Michael D and Stephen Marsh. Here's a look at the replay of the tough win.
Railed through with Fadad and Antrim Coast. Antrim Coast maybe just in front. Fadad, it's Antrim Coast and Fadad with Quintessa, who's rallying the inside. It's a great race. Antrim Coast and Quintessa, stride for stride, photo finish. Quintessa, Antrim Coast, a photo. Third zip away of Fadad, and they were followed next in the field.
Well, the show rolls on for the Stephen Marsh team as they achieve success across the ditch. And Stephen, as we welcome you in, a surprise winner, but no doubt a very satisfying winner to have got the Alistair Clark on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he has long odds, but, you know, he was going with very good form. My probably biggest question mark, to be honest, was handling the Moonee Valley track, the tight sort of circumference of it. And as Mick said afterwards, he didn't really handle it. He was getting on the wrong leg around the bends, and you can even see when he came into the home straight, he sort of cornered on the outside leg and then finally got balanced up. But yeah, good, tough win. It was in a good field.
When I interviewed Mick after the race, he commented on how tough and how honest he was. And I guess we haven't really become too familiar with him here in New Zealand. Tell us about him and his qualities.
Yeah, look, he's a big, strong gelding. He just takes everything you ask. He's probably always one of those real unassuming types of horses. That's probably always has been and always probably will be sort of underrated. If you go back through his form, he's gone some great races. He's probably been a little bit luckless. But, you know, all his runs have been great. And, you know, New Zealand Derby is very good. I mean, he wins probably most other derbies if there's not orchestral, and he looks, you know, obviously out of the top draw. So, no, look, he does hold good form and always raced well.
Stephen, I read an article prior to Saturday's Alistair Clark where you said we sort of want to get a line on him. We want to see where he fits in Australia, and you sort of have that line now with the Group 2 success. What do you do from here?
Yeah, there's a few options. We either sort of race at Caulfield in a couple of weeks in the Galilee 3-year-old final, which he gets into from winning on Saturday. Not completely ruling out, see what happens with the AJC Derby. It is a $2 million race. That's on the same day, so we can go towards both, and if we have to get him on a float to Sydney, we could run him there on the 6th. Or if we do stay in Melbourne, he could head to Adelaide from there for the Adelaide Derby is now worth $1 million. So plenty of options for him. It's just sort of all in the air a little bit at the moment.
Marshy, pretty crazy time for the stable, couple of Group 1s a couple of weeks ago. Just checking in on Velocious, because you told us when you were a guest on the show 2 weeks ago she was heading to the sires produce at Trentham. Is that still on target?
Yep, right, still on target. She had a few days out in the paddock. She freshened up beautifully. So she's all set for there and looking forward to it. But, yeah, I don't know, maybe... I don't know, I'll just hope the track's still in good order. It's had a bit of racing. It's been a little bit indifferent, the track, maybe with a little bit of irrigation, bit of rain. So we're hoping for a good track there. But, yeah, she's right on song and seems very well in herself.
Stephen, nice performance far from a sort of unheralded filly in Nikaya at Riccarton on Saturday. I take it she's headed there to try and pick up black type in those races that a Tissue won a couple of years ago?
Yeah, that's exactly why she's down there, and it was nice to see her win there, and she won well. You know, she hadn't raced for a long time, so you know her sort of her improvement out of that's going to be great. She steps up to the mile just against the fillies next time, and then potentially up to the 2000, but. Yep, certainly down there to get back type, and she's tipped off in certainly the right way.
Stephen, a big thank you for coming on the show this morning. Great win with Antrim Coast, and may the ball keep on rolling as you head towards the Group 1 with Velocious.
Absolutely, absolute pleasure being on the show. I hope it happens more.
That means you're winning, doesn't it, if you're on way in, yeah.
You can make a case, I'm not talking numbers, because obviously Te Akau completely dominate. You can make a case for Stephen Marsh for Trainer of the Year. He's won the Telegraph, he's won the Karaka Million, he's won a Sistema Stakes, he's won the New Zealand Bone Crusher New Zealand Stakes with a horse who probably shouldn't have won in your mind, El Vencedor. And now he's won a $500,000 race over there. And take Orchestral out, he won the Derby. He's had an incredible year, and there's one other one there I've missed, but he's had a remarkable year. So well done to him, and what's been a really tough time for him and the family to maintain those standards at work are outstanding. And Antrim Coast, I think the ATC Derby might be a little bit sweet for him, but the South Australia Derby, which is May the 18th, Emily, is $1 million now. So it's a lot easier than a $2 million ATC Derby. No reason you can't potentially go to both.
Yeah, it's an intriguing question, all to come over the next couple of weeks. The Golden Slipper is the next race that we review, and it was taken out by Lady of Camelot in a very dominant performance for Gabe Waterhouse and Blake Shin.
Going up the inside, Folly Led and Stoneboy. Lady of Camelot behind them, 3 lengths away to Switzerland. And wide out, Coleman running on. Stoneboy's got the run on the inside. Coleman wide out with Lady of Camelot. It's Coleman, Lady of Camelot. Coleman ahead in front to Lady of Camelot. Coleman, Lady of Camelot. The lady dives and Lady of Camelot got up. Lady of Camelot, a spectacular win in the Golden Slipper, beat Coleman. And third...
Well, Lady of Camelot took all honours, and it wouldn't be the Slipper without a bit of drama, and it was pre-start, or not pre-start, it was at the jump the drama occurred. Here's a look at the start, which involved Heisugi, who, well, Jamie Carr nearly fell off the side and then hit the rail out wide here. Watch Jamie, she misses, she gets back on, and then pretty much handlebars down, right-hand turn, and she bounces off the rail here at this point as well. So nearly comes off again. Very, yeah, no doubt her heart was in her mouth after both of those things.
That could have been so much worse for both Jamie, of course, most importantly, and the filly, who's worth a fortune, had she gone through the rail. So those new rails are worth their weight in gold. Just on the winner, fantastic to back up from a Blue Diamond where she had a really tough run into that race. We don't often talk about Sir Owen Glenn as a New Zealand owner because he doesn't have a lot of horses racing in this country, but he's a heavily invested New Zealand owner, so one would say one of our biggest New Zealand owners. And he's won a slipper, so that's great. He homebred this horse, second horse really good. The question mark horse out of the race was Stormboy because he missed the kick and he got on the wrong part of the track and he loomed up to win, but he was well done at the 100. Like they were getting away from him again. Now, they need to win a Group 1 with Stormboy because they bought him to be a stallion. So they have to go to the size produce or even the Champagne. They've got to go again, which you start to wonder whether he's getting to the end of his campaign because he's such a big horse.
Better to turn them out, but hey, turn them out to get even bigger.
But they won't.
Yeah.
They've got to win a Group 1 because they have no proof he'll come back at 3. A lot of horses don't. So he's the horse who...
It didn't quite go the way they wanted it to go, so I guess that's...
It's no one's fault. It just didn't work.
Would he get the 14 or...?
I'm sure he'll get the 14. Ryan's comments after the race were he will. Here's the footage of Gay Waterhouse.
Oh, this is epic. She just never fails to deliver.
Well, Gay obviously was looking at Stormboy because that was their big ticket item and it's clearly going to get beat. And there's Gay looking a bit nonplussed. And then she realises she's still going to win the race.
As sharp as a tack, she switches and realises that she has in fact won her 8th Golden Slipper, an incredible thing. But the disappointment, Stormboy, to then the realisation. It was great scenes, and she's got a sore knee, I think, so that's why she was at home and not at the races. But great that the cameras could be there.
Every punter who's ever had a bet on 2 horses in the same race would know that feel. So clearly Stormboy was the big ticket item for them because it's worth so much money and it's such a massive client. And then she's changed to the winner, who was beautifully ridden by Blake Shin. Done a super job. So I wouldn't be surprised if they tip her out instantly. She's got her Group 1, and the last thing they want is her beating Stormboy in another race. Their mission now for that stable, their mission is to get a Group 1 with Stormboy in the next month.
I've no doubt Gay Waterhouse can do, and Adrian Bott can do just that. There were 4 other Group 1s on the card from Rosehill, and here's a quick look at all of them. We start with an incredibly impressive European purchase, very expensive European purchase, who's paid for herself straight away via Sistina, taking out the Ranvet.
Well, she cost over $5 million, and she comes with proper form. She won the Pretty Polly out of the Curragh, and she ran second in the Champion Stakes, which is their season-ending major weight for age race, and beat Dubai Honour. So she's clearly the horse to beat in the QE2.
Rosehill Guineas is next, and here's Riff Rocket. We know what he can do. He's got a big motor. Third up, he bounced right back to form and got the Group 1, Michael.
Well, that's him widest, and gee, he's been brave here because Nash had to move a little bit earlier than he wanted, and he had no cover. Done a super job. He's won a VRC Derby. Clearly, he is the horse to beat in the ATC Derby, and he may be the reason Stephen doesn't take Antrim Coast there, because this is a very good horse. That franked the form out of the Australian Guineas at a different distance. So did this. This is V8, which looks like Vate when you look at it as a word. And he ran second in that Australian Guineas. Riff Rocket ran third. Quintessa ran fourth. He is taking on the older horses in the George Ryder and beating them, so he's a really good
And
horse.
the 1,500 metres at Rosehill, he's 3, so a Golden Eagle might be right up his alley over the 1,500 here.
And he's a colt, and he's worth a lot of money already, and he's just a damn good horse who can turn up left-handed, right-handed, any distance.
And a rollercoaster day for Karen McAvoy, who wins aboard Zapateo in the Galaxy, had a fall in the race after this, and I think has fractured a vertebrae and is out for the autumn, so really disappointing for him.
Yeah, well, first of all, we'll talk about this race. Zapateo's a horse where you think, really? This is the Galaxy? It's been won by Zapateo, and that's no disrespect to Zapateo. But I hadn't won for a year. And those horses mainly, that clump of horses there, plus I Wish I Win, are more or less the horses that Imperatrice is going to be racing at weight for age. So they're not scary for her at all. Yeah, on Kieran, saw the spine specialist yesterday. So he's out for the autumn, and really, really tough luck, and sadly the horse didn't survive either. So a really bad way to end a really unusual day, because in that race Osmosis jumped out of the gates and jumped Rachel King clean out of the irons. It was one of those wild, crazy days at the office there at Rosehill.
Something always happening in every race, wasn't there? Let's have a look at a market for the Vinery. That's where we see Orchestral next, and understandably, well, she's at $2.25, and clear favourite Zardozi, her main rival, according to pre-start betting.
So James has committed to Orchestral, and he also rode Zardozi to win the VRC Oaks. So he's gone Orchestral rather than Zardozi. As you can see, Quintessa won't turn up in this race. She's waiting for the Oaks. The rest of them, you would suggest, won't scare Orchestral. She'll head over midweek, and she's $2.50. The hype on her will be huge. That's this Saturday coming up on trackside. So this Saturday, Group 1 from Ellerslie, where they have the Breeders' Stakes moved. This, the Vinery, and from Flemington, this, which is Legato in the Australian Cup. Now, I spoke to Ken Kelso this morning. He's very happy. Mick D rides again, and she heads back to the home of her greatest success, where she travels on Wednesday to take on Mr. Brightside, Pride of Jenny, and a Tissue, who we have found out is going to be auctioned at their Magic Millions broodmare sale coming up in June. So Legato, $8 if you like a bit of that. In the Cup, she is boosted. I think she'll love being at Flemington. The bigger track will suit. Ken's very happy. Yeah. We have a hell of a Saturday coming up. Group 1 at Ellerslie and Group 1 big New Zealand chances in both of the major states in Australia. Yeah,
so much to look forward to over the next couple of weeks. A break for us and then into our New Zealand action. Tauranga and Riccarton.
This is love. Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
A roll for him, I'm almost certain it is. He comes to the home turn, the Fabs Cowboy, and he's got a nice break. He moved off the turn a little bit, but he still shows the way. They're trying to put him back in, but Fabs Cowboy's out by a couple of lengths as they come down to the 200 metres. I'm not game to say anything, but he's looking pretty good at this stage. It's Fabs Cowboy. I'm calling this a one-horse race, and it is a one-horse race. Away goes Fabs Cowboy. Good on you, Fabs. I called you first at your first win at Gleeson. You won again today. Remarkable. 53 wins, ladies and gentlemen.
If you're wondering what was going on there, where has weigh-in taken us this week? Well, that was Fabs Cowboy. He's a 12-year-old and he's Australia's most prolific winner. It was win number 53. Incredible stuff. Let's get back to our New Zealand action and we get you to Tauranga for the Japan Trophy, and it was taken out by This Is Dramatic.
Japan Trophy as they thunder towards a home turn, and Skyman has a lead for Maetil Lad, followed on the inside by Powwow. St. Bathans is on the outside of those. Then further back in the field next as they head down, This Is Dramatic looks to run on at the 300 metres. Skyman the leader, St. Bathans a length and a half away, running on Maetil Lad. Jaffe starting to appear now with Financier coming through down to the 150. St. Bathans out wide. This Is Dramatic is starting to charge, and so is Mully on from the clouds. This is dramatic. This is dramatic, I think, just for Mully.
What a Matt, big effort right down the outside, getting through those conditions.
Yeah, they said I don't know the horse that well, but they said she had a bit of a flat spot across the top, and she definitely did that. And I don't know where I was going to end up, and got to the outside, and she was tough. She kept giving.
Look, you go through her form. She's got very good form. She's got a lot of black type through there, and she's been able to find that form again today.
It is, Lisa's no slouch. She knows what she's doing, and to travel all this way and with the rain and that's been around for the last couple of hours, she kept the horse in and she had the face, so it was good.
Yeah, big thrill. Congrats.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, Matt Cameron talking after This Is Dramatic's win, and it was a well-deserved victory. Mullystone made it a race, and they've got plenty of options, haven't they, heading forward?
Yeah, she has mares races she can go to, plus the Easter, which is at Ellerslie on April the 20th, which obviously would suit as well. Mullystone really good. Financier excellent, coming out of the grades into a weight scale that didn't really suit. This is an open class horse for next year, but she's done a great job. She's been a 3-year-old winner in the autumn at black type level. She's raced in really good black type races most of her life, and she's won 350k and had to be very tough here. I'm meeting that changed complexion enormously when the rain came. I think we started on a 4 or a 5 and we got to a 10. So maybe a sign of what lies ahead for a couple of months' time. But good winning performance. A lot of horses out of there will head to the Easter on April the 20th. But there's still some pretty good races at what was the Awapuni meeting becomes the Trentham meeting on 2 weeks. That meeting, the Sires Produce meeting, has 5 black type races. So a lot of those horses could head there as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a good day, isn't it? Hat Trick is the next one that we look at. Race number 3 from Tauranga. Like this horse, putting together a pretty nice record, the progeny of Fastnet Rock.
And Fastnet Rock had a barn burner of a weekend. He's also the sire of Via Sistina, the horse we saw win at Rose Hill. He's the dam sire of the slipper winner. This is a good horse for Tony Pike. It's 3 wins. Out of a good mare, the dam won the War Step for the Smithies boys from Monavale Farm, and clearly it can get out to further than this distance. So horse with a lot of options. Here's a great story here. Mac Thief. So here's the horse in behind the leader. Started his career in South Africa, ran 3rd in the Cape Derby, which is a Group 1. Went to Sha Tin, didn't like Hong Kong, like a lot of horses don't. Has come back here, and Big John Bell, he's produced a beauty here of a training performance. Fresh up, it's won really impressively, and it can handle the wet, which is surprising for John, and that would seem to give it plenty of options heading forward over the next couple of months as well.
Let's get you to Riccarton now in the South Island Breeders' Stakes. This one was won by Burgee. Hasn't had a whole lot of luck this prep. Things finally went to plan, Michael, for the progeny of Ghibellines. Corey Campbell doing the riding, well deserved.
Yeah, great ride by Corey. Went very quick here, so the swoopers got it late. Lady Talina, who has Group 1 form, is out wide. So Burgee's through the middle in the green and yellow. She's only had 4 career victories, and 3 of them have been big races. She won the War Step. She won the Southern Mile last year, final, and now she's won this. And they galloped 1:33.1, which is incredibly quick. It was fast all day at Riccarton, but 1:33 miles in this country, you wouldn't get 2 or 3 of them a year. So she'll come back for some of the latter races in that carnival. Here's Matt Scott. This has been a pretty good performance because he's a horse who's raced in some good races. He raced in that infamous TAB Classic, the false start race back at Trentham in December. He's raced in the White Road Lodge. He's raced in a lot of good races, the Trentham Stakes. So put him back at home against normal horses in, and he's too good for them. And again, he has options races like the Canterbury Gold Cup and those races coming up for him.
Yeah, we like celebrating firsts here on Weigh-In, and Ellie Sol got a first victory. That was at Taranaki, and we get you off to a break with a replay of that.
Truly off the bit and chasing. Smart Road mounting her own, but well back. Ali Soul and Herbert at the 200 metres. Clear in the lead, Living in Hope. Smart Road is coming after him, but he's well clear, Herbert, with 100 metres to go. Side piece rattling home as to Trout, but it's Ali Soul. Oh, here's a special moment. Herbert and Ali do it on her first race day riding. She'll get her first win.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
He has a big lead in the Derby. It's Car Ying Generation, 6 lengths in front over Cheng Glory, then Elaine Feeling. Massive Sovereign clears traffic now. He has 7 lengths to make up. It's been a dashing ride by Atzani. It's Car Ying Generation, Massive Sovereign. He's 2 lengths away. Car Ying Generation, Massive Sovereign, Galaxy Patch, Sovereign, Massive Sovereign. He wins it. Massive Sovereign for Zach Purton, and Dennership win the Derby.
Zach, many congratulations. The second Derby, that one looked pretty special.
Yeah, it's been a frustrating race for me, and it's been a frustrating season too, to be honest. To finally get one of the bigger ones, it's a bit of a relief, and you know, especially for Dennis. You know, we've had such a great association over the years. Obviously, we won a championship together, and the emotion that he showed when he won that race at that last meeting at Happy Valley that time, I'll never forget that. So to do it with him is special as well, on what looks like is a special horse.
Just on the race itself, second I've got to let you go, but a runaway leader, were you always confident you could reel him back with this fellow?
When the leader was that far in front and that horse keeps galloping, he doesn't stop or give up, and although he tied a little bit, he didn't capitulate, so he made me earn it. You know, I always thought I was going to get close, but how close? Oh, you know, you can't be sure, but once I sort of got to the 200, I could feel I had his medal.
Well done, Zach.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Zach Purton, such an incredible rider, and there's a lot of comments online about the 11 out of 10 ride that he offered the Hong Kong Derby winner, and as you said, Michael, an amazing race.
Incredible to watch. If you missed it last night, the leader settled into stride relatively quickly and then just went sub-24s for the 400s again and again and again, as you can see there. Went a 22.9 down the side. So Zach's had to come, yes, he stopped to touch the leader, but Zach's had to come in between horses from second last, and obviously gets him in the last 10 metres, 20 metres. Hell of a horse. This is a horse who raced as Broadhurst in Ireland when trained by Aidan O'Brien. And you think if you're taking a horse off Aidan O'Brien, you're not going to improve it much, but he's a horse who clearly likes firm tracks. He's come to Hong Kong. He won fresh up over 2,000 metres in Hong Kong, and he's the first horse to be imported to Hong Kong to win fresh up over 2,000 metres in 25 years. He's a very good horse. He'll be sticking around for a long time. That's a race record, in a race that has been won by great horses, breaking the previous race record held by Golden 60. So a lot more to be heard of him, but that meant a lot to Zach. You think Zach wins all the big races in Hong Kong? That's only his second HK Derby.
Yeah, incredible.
In 2015, he also won on Luther, so a remarkable race to watch. You don't often, anytime they break 2 minutes for 2,000 metres, that's an incredibly rare event anywhere in the world.
It was great
Apart
stuff.
from Japan.
Great performance, wasn't it? The Hong Kong Derby. Well, let's get you off to a recent announcement. Paddington is going to be joining the Windsor Park stallion roster. Let's find out more about that.
Let's get into this breeding news. Coolmore is bringing Paddington down to stand at Windsor Park Stud in New Zealand. This is massive. This is the biggest thing you've ever done in New Zealand.
We thought long and hard about Paddington and how to give them the best possible start. And we knew that the team of Windsor Park would be the people to do that. Their success is top level, and they'll really suit this kind of horse. And I believe firmly that this is the best horse that's gone to New Zealand that I've ever seen.
His rise to prominence was stunning, and then the streak was just something to behold, wasn't it? Through Irish 2,000 guineas to Royal Ascot to beating the older horses in the Eclipse, and then of course the Sussex after that. It was dominance like you rarely see.
He was an unbelievable racehorse, and I remember Aidan saying that he was Giant's Causeway but faster. You know, the way he won at Ascot, as you say, at Goodwood, even the first time he won at the Curragh, he won on fast ground, slow ground, a mile, 10 furlongs. Everything you threw at that horse, he delivered.
Paddington has got a lead of it. Emily Upjohn tries, but Paddington is too good. The 3-year-old wins. Paddington has won.
I'm delighted for New Zealand. I'm just delighted for Rodney, for Nelson and for Sue, because I really believe that this is the most exciting horse to go to stud in New Zealand in a very long time.
And it's the next step in what's been a long and fantastic relationship between Coolmore and Windsor Park, isn't it? Going back to High Chaparral, Monjeur, more recent times, obviously Circus Maximus as well. I mean, it's been a rich relationship, but this is really raising the bar.
Yeah, but as I said, they did such a great job with stallions for us in the past, like High Chaparral, Monjeur, you know, and Circus Maximus is over there this year. I saw his yearlings at the sales. They look fantastic. But, you know, we're always behind what they do in Windsor Park and in New Zealand, apart from the rugby, which we don't talk about as an Irish person, especially the day after St. Patrick's Day. But I really have a belief in this stallion and in that farm. And when you put the two together, I just think that it's guaranteed to happen.
Such a great addition to the stallion ranks. And as we heard there from Tom, one of the most qualified, highly qualified horses to have arrived in New Zealand, certainly in the positive environment we're in at the moment, all the positivity around, this is just another little bonus, isn't it?
I was at Ascot last year on the Tuesday, the first day, when he won the major 3-year-old race, and I was gobsmacked. He beat the 2,000 guineas winner and he thrashed him in a race he shouldn't have won. He's a very serious horse, and he's by Sayuni, who was the star of Ascot last year, and he's a beautiful French stallion, just a magnificent looking horse who's up to 200,000 euros a year, and that means he's an outcross for lots of the horses we have. We don't have a lot of the Sayuni blood in New Zealand, but he leaves really good looking horses, so they should be commercial. He's only going to be $35,000 out of Windsor, and well done to Rodney and the team there, because it's a great get. And again, vastly different from some of the European horses we've got coming in, like El Manzour and Hello Youmsane. So we've got a really broad range of horses coming in, and horses who have been major Ascot winners. So I think it's fantastic for the industry here. Yeah, what he's going to bring to us now is a different type of blood from a lot of the Australian blood we're getting, you know, with the Super Seth type horse coming in. So fascinating time for the breeding industry here. 5 years ago, we were really down on stallion power. Now we've had 4 or 5 big chunky additions, Emily.
Yeah, we have, and some pretty exciting additions as well. We just mentioned looking ahead to what is coming up, and the New Zealand Breeders' Stakes is what we have to look forward to, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's moved. So Te Araha is still under work. heads to Ellerslie. Well done to Ellerslie for picking this up. They also have the Pearl Series final there this week. So La Creek, Pearl of Alsace, Molly Blue, Mustang Valley.
It's a great broad lineup of some of the best horses we've seen this season.
Well, it's a beauty, isn't it? And it's a Group 1, which means it means everything to these horses. It's more or less their grand final. So, yeah, coming up out of Ellerslie on Saturday, along with that Entane Pearl Series final. So the final field's out for that just before 11 o'clock on Wednesday. As mentioned, Emily, one of our biggest days of the year coming up this week because we have an Australian Cup winning chance, we have a favourite in the Vinery, and we have a domestic Group 1 out of Ellerslie. So show's almost done, but tonight, do you want to tell people what we're doing tonight?
We're going ballroom dancing tonight. Michael and I are off on a little adventure, and
we're going to learn to ballroom dance.
Because you need to say, because you lied.
Well, I'll tell you what happened was, I lied and told everybody that Emily goes ballroom dancing because I was having fun with her. And now she decided we're going to see who can do it the best. And neither of us have ever been ballroom dancing in our lives. So we're going to have lessons tonight, and we're going to bring that to you on Wayne.
And the best thing is that there's going to be a camera there. So you're going to see Michael as you've never seen him before.
Oh, but you look like a ballroom dancer.
But I can't.
This will be good.
No rhythm.
This could be a complete stuff-up.
Oh dear, well that's all to come. I hope you're looking forward to that. That'll be potentially next week if it all goes to plan, and we'll, as Michael said, have more races to review then. Thanks for your company.